Hello, everyone, and welcome to the introductory lesson or lecture on SPICE. And these are the five main themes of AP World History. And we'll also add a sixth in there that begins with the letter T, which is called technological innovation. So let's get started and talk about what this acronym actually means. So SPICE covers the main themes within the AP World curriculum. And kind of helps you build a connection or create a connection between broad topics, broad themes within a specific period or culture, or even across the multiple periods or across the entire course. It helps you build that framework of understanding. Now, how this acronym works is S stands for social, P stands for political, I stands for interactions between humans and the environment, C stands for cultural, and E stands for economic. And then there's a sixth one that we will add in that will kind of be used on a case-by-case basis, which stands for technological innovation. All right, so the first theme, I'm not going to go through each of these. I'll just kind of talk about these in their basic ideas, maybe give you a couple examples. But the first one is social, and it's pretty straightforward. This one covers everything that you can think of that covers social means, whether it's hierarchies or social structures or the classes themselves, so like upper class, lower class, emperor versus peasant, to gender roles, race and wealth, and class, and so forth. And pretty much that's all that is covered within the social realm. It's a huge theme that all these are, but really you're focusing on the relationships among human beings and how those actually interact, from individuals to full social structures or social groups. All right, the next one is political. This one is pretty straightforward in terms of what we think of as governments or like states. So this is anything that has to do with state building, from expansion or contraction to conflicts. So this would be like where your warfare would come in, growth of empires, falling of empires, revolutions, nationalism, and so forth. So like think of the French Revolution or the American Revolution or the expansion of the British Empire. But this one pretty much, this theme is really important because you can use it to compare different states in different forms. So you can look at kingdoms versus empires or nation states across various times. So this is a wide-ranging theme as well that can cover many different topics, as you can see. All right, more here with political, identifying the political realm here is a lot, because it can span across all of the periods in this course, or because you can look at, it lends itself to comparing societies or comparing different forms of government. Continuity and change is also something that's very important within this theme, by identifying what stays the same within a political entity or group or nation state or empire, and what changes. So that is a big skill that you guys are going to need to know for this course, and it plays itself out within this political theme quite often. All right, you can also use the political theme to discuss different types of states, such as autocracies and constitutional democracies. Like I've already mentioned, the different types of states like empires or nation states, and as well as you can look at actual exchanges. So really, again, I think this is the biggest one because it connects itself to really everything in how people operate. All right, the third one here is interactions between humans and the environment. So this is pretty much anything you can think of in terms of how we interact as human beings with the environment, or how the environment actually responds back to us. So this could be how people move, so mixing with the social theme, how we actually move from one place to the other, so like migratory issues or patterns. You can have patterns of settlement within certain areas or certain time frames. This is technology and how it actually interacts with the environment itself. Now, for the sake of this one, we have that sixth theme, technology. We'll create that as well. So you might see some cross curricular stuff actually linking between these, which is fine, and which is what you want to see anyways, because you can see these are all going to be linked in some form. A big one here that you're going to need to remember is disease. So anytime there's a disease that actually comes up, like plague, or to now the coronavirus pandemic, to the influenza pandemic in 1919, those topics would actually fit within interactions and so forth, because you need to understand how we interact with the environment and how the environment interacts with us can actually influence all of these other themes as well. Just look at the bottom bullet point here, rainfall patterns, climate changes, vegetation, our access to it or access to food can actually, in different regions, in different areas of the world at different times, can influence the other aspects, in particular the political ones. All right, and again, understanding how our exploitation of the environment grows as populations grow is an important aspect to remember, and can kind of it plays itself out in any number of ways, but in particular people flocking to trade networks or into cities, and this kind of the consequence of that with new disease spreading and so forth is an example that you guys need to remember, and we'll cover throughout this course a lot. Next one is cultural. The cultural development this is how we interact as cultures together. So this is your belief systems. This is your traits that people have and do throughout their lives. So think of any religious system that's put forward, any belief system, philosophical system like Confucianism, or ideologies that people follow, as well as science and technology. Again, we're seeing a cross-curricular or connection between interactions, cultural, and then our new one that doesn't make an appearance in this slide show of technology and innovation. You can see that they come up here. And really, the cultural aspect is the exploring everything within how this works, from the origins of the cultural tradition, so like the origins of religion or belief system, to how people follow it, or what they actually do, or what the effects of that is, to how it has transformed to today. So we're going to run that all the way through. So again, these are all containing themselves or building themselves. These themes build themselves throughout the entire course. And you also use these cultural, this cultural theme is also used in seeing how societies themselves interact. So again, that connects it back to the social aspect. Okay, this cultural theme is really used prevalently within comparisons. Again, because you can actually compare and contrast different styles, different cultures, and as well as you can use it with change and continuity a little bit with certain cultures that we come across in terms of, okay, how did they develop here? And then how did this stay the same or change over time, which is a possibility that can come up. All right, our last main theme that it makes its appearance in this slide show is economic. And this is anything that deals with economic systems. So anywhere from agriculture all the way up to the modern industrialization, capitalist, socialist trade systems that we have today. So any type of labor system, form of commerce, it comes up in the economic sphere. This one is pretty obvious. It's much easier to link in economics because anytime you have an actual trade or exchange of goods, you can use this as an example for economic principles. And we see this develop itself, and we are going to see this develop itself in a big major way from the beginning of this course to the end. Okay, as we become a more modern world. And really the big thing with this economic theme is you can see the actual transitions. And really you can connect this again with economic really goes well with social, because as well as cultural and interactions. So like you can see a cultural idea develop, you can see an interaction develop or social instance develop. So like an interaction would be that ties with economic would be migrations for economic purposes. Social structure could be the slave class systems and so forth that develop out of economic ideals. And that's just a couple of examples here talking about labor systems and how they link in with economic. And then this is the final slide. I credit this to Bill Ziegler. He's great. in creating this. But I want to mention real quick that the last one again is technological innovation that we'll use and kind of separate out just to kind of help with examples for you guys to use throughout the year. So even though technology is mentioned in several of these major themes of SPICE, we'll have a sixth theme area to kind of help you with individual examples and kind of help explain their effects. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Have a good one.